Hello, welcome to the Stretford Enders. We're back with another podcast. I'm joined by Gavin again this afternoon. We're going to be talking about yesterday's performance against Chelsea and also the current Ronaldo situation. Gavin, how are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, buddy. How are you?
Yeah. With yesterday's result against Chelsea, I actually thought it was probably one of our best performances all season. I'm sure you agree with that.
Yeah, but I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest with you, because it's we should have really wrapped that game up in the first 35 minutes, and it kind of showed yesterday how desperate we are for a target man. I mean, I'm over the moon that we managed to get a point, but I think it was an opportunity to get into the top four they missed yesterday because we should have, put that game to bed. I thought Casemiro was fantastic. I thought Martinez at the back was fantastic. But I just think that yesterday kind of showed how desperate we are for a striker. And my worry is that it's not going to come in January. And that's what's going to be our downfall, I think.
Yeah, after watching our first half, like you said, especially the first half hour of that game, we should have been at least 2-0 up, and we're playing some good football. But like you touched on, I think the main concern is get man. The finishing needs to be a lot better if you want to get into the top four this season, because I think we allowed Chelsea. I think the last 15-20 minutes of that game, we allowed them to get back into the game, and obviously they had the penalty. I personally thought the penalty was a bit soft, but we all know that VAR are going to give them. But the way that we kept on going and we scored that equaliser goal in was at the 94th minute. Even though we should have won the game, I after full time I felt positive because we look back at last season. Game we would have lost those kind of games. No games between United and Chelsea. I think we've drawn the last. I think we've drawn 6 out of the last 8. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. I don't know if you know. Mm-hmm. Am I right about that?
Excuse me. Yeah. The results against Chelsea haven't been great. I mean, touching on the penalty incident. Yeah, it was soft, but you can't go doing that in the box. And McTominay was very silly for doing that. You can't have your hands all over the player in the box. Yeah, as I said, and lots of positives to take from yesterday's game. And I am over the moon, and I haven't felt like that a long time after the game. Like where we managed to get a point, and I felt achieved by it. I mean, I think I said to you either on last week's podcast or just in chatting in general throughout the week, I said that if we could have taken 7 games from the 3 games that we played, I think it was Newcastle, Spurs and Chelsea. I would have been happy. And I mean, we took 5 points from those 3 games. But it's, as I said, as you said, lots of positives. Going back 12, 18 months ago, we wouldn't have even got a point at Stamford Bridge at that game. But you can see there's lots of, you can see you sort of like gelling together and coming together now, and it players playing. As I said, Casemiro played well. There's individual players now. Whereas like we'd play games before, and you'd have individuals that were performing. Now we're performing now as a team. Where like we can look at that game and we can say, well, there was 3 or 4 players that played well.
Yeah. I mean, defensively yesterday we looked solid. The only thing, the only downside to yesterday was the fact that Varane come off injured yesterday. Hopefully that's not too serious.
I think he's done his cruise shit. I do.
Yeah, I think
he'll be out. He's going to miss the World Cup, which is gutting because it's probably going to be his last World Cup. But like, I'm glad you touched on that, to be honest, because that was something that I was going to touch on. My worry is now that obviously we looked, quite strong with Martinez and Varane at the back. I mean, obviously Lindelof came on and did quite well. Maybe it's Harry Maguire's chance to come back into the fold now, because we don't know how long Varane will be out for. I mean, I'm hearing he's having a scan today, but the way he walked, as you said, the way he walked off the pitch and the way he looked, it's not looking good for the lad. Like,
hopefully it's not as serious as it actually looked. And he will make the World Cup and we get back in the United team, because like you said, though, Martinez and Varane were building a strong partnership in that centre back position for United. And if he is going to be out for maybe a few weeks, it does give Harry Maguire over to Lindelof the opportunity to come in and play alongside Martinez. But I think we know that would only be a short-term thing. Because as soon as Varane is fit again, I'm 100% confident that he'll get back into that United defence, because I think Martinez struggled the first couple of games of the season, but now he knows what the Premier League is all about. I think he settled in over the last couple of weeks. But all around yesterday, I was pleased with individual performances. But going back to what I said at the start, I think the finishing needs to be a lot better. I agree with you. I can't see us bringing anyone in January. It's going to be difficult because, as we know, there's not many top players that want to leave their clubs in January. We do have, we still have Anthony Martial. Can you see him being brought in as our striker?
He needs to be. I mean, we've got Elanga on the bench as well, and there's a lot of people, said last night, see if Ronaldo had been in the squad, he would have scored, which you want to cover off today, the Ronaldo situation. But we've got Charlie McNeil. There's quite a few players in the reserves that could be brought in and given a chance. We do need a striker. Whether or not there's one available that we're unaware of in January that could become available, we don't know. But for me, it's sort of like Rashford has come into his own. He's playing the best football I've seen in a long time from him. Martial, as we know, has a tendency to just a little bit like Pogba, where he just kind of like dips in and out and if I want to turn it on, I can turn it on. He knows that there's a good player in there, but it's just, it's just getting that clinical finish in front of goal, isn't it? And I think once we've got that, I think we've cracked it. I think if we can get a striker in January, I know it's a big ask, but I think if we get a striker in January, I'd be quite confident of us getting top 4 the way we're playing at the moment.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's something that Ten Hag will speak to the board about, because obviously, he will see, the massive improvements since he's come to the football club. So he might well go to the board and sit down and say, I've got the team playing well, but there's still one weakness that we need to deal with, and it's we need hopefully he's going to go to the board and say we need a striker, somebody who can come in and score us 25 goals plus every season and keep on pushing this team forwards. Just to finish off on yesterday's game, I thought the formation yesterday when I first seen it, I thought was interesting. But I thought just having Casemiro just sitting behind the back 4 and having Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes to playing together, I thought that actually worked. I don't know whether it was that Chelsea was so poor or whether we made them, or whether the way that we were, because we played quite well in the game, whether we made Chelsea look poor. Obviously, they haven't had, their form hasn't been great. But we didn't play fantastic against Newcastle yesterday. And like we said, if you come out to these 3 games with 7 points, we'd be in a really good position. we should be beating teams like Newcastle. We had a really positive result against.
Yeah, but I mean, when you said about like we made, I'm not buying this. Or Chelsea were poor, Spurs were poor, and Spurs, they're not a poor side. Chelsea are not a poor side. Spurs have probably got one of the best strikers in the country in Harry Kane, and he came to Old Trafford on Wednesday, and we allowed him not to create anything. We stifled Son, we stifled Kane, we stifled the Spurs front three, and people are not giving us credit for that. People are just like, oh yeah, Spurs were rubbish, Chelsea were rubbish. Yes, Chelsea had off day. It's like, well, no, they didn't, because did Liverpool have an off day when they came to Old Trafford? Did Arsenal have an off day when we beat them? Do you know what I mean? It's like, not all these teams are surely having off days. Do you know what I mean? They're good teams. Like when we played Arsenal, they were undefeated. When we played Liverpool, Liverpool were bad, in fairness, on the day. But like, I'm not buying into, every time we get a good result, rival fans say, you only had a good result because, like you said, Chelsea weren't very good yesterday. It's not that they weren't very good. It's just that, as you said, with Casemiro coming in and playing in that pivot role, so to speak, and then you've got Eriksen and Bruno, they are having the freedom to, ping the ball around. I mean, I know, I don't think you saw the game Wednesday night against Spurs, but I thought Bruno was fantastic on Wednesday. And a lot of people have been criticising him, saying, "Oh, he's wasteful, he's this, he's that." But I thought Bruno, and particularly yesterday, I thought he played well. And with Casemiro there in that kind of holding role, as you said, it's giving the players like Eriksen and like Bruno, the freedom to move around and do what they need to do and create chances.
Yeah. Just to go back where you touched on it about you're not buying into the fact that like rival fans are saying that it's like the only fact that they were beating these top 6 teams is because they're so poor. I'm with you in that, because I just think our football is improving, and yesterday I think it's probably the quietest I've ever heard Stamford Bridge. The noise was all coming from the way end, and I think it was the fact we were playing so well in that game. Obviously, the Chelsea fans were getting frustrated. You could see that the Chelsea players were getting frustrated.
And let's take nothing away from it. Our fans are probably getting frustrated as well, because of the chances we're creating and not putting them in the back of the net. I mean, against Spurs on Wednesday, we created, I think it was 20 shots on goal in the first half. And we only had 5 of them on target. It's got to be frustrating. And yourself, as a fan like me, we watch the games. It's frustrating. For us, I was so frustrated watching it yesterday, because I was like, 35 minutes into the game, I was like, we should be 2 or 3 up here. If we had a Haaland or a Kane, we're 2 or 3 nil up in 35 minutes, and the game is won and put to bed.
Yeah, it's some of the players were getting in our first 35 minutes. And I was worried at half time. I was thinking, the fact that we played so well in the first half, I thought, is that going to come back and bite us on the arse in the second half? It didn't. I thought Chelsea only come into the game the last 20 minutes of the game. But I think the fact that we kept on going is, like we touched on last weekend, we can definitely see signs of improvement. Obviously, we've now played all the so-called top 6 teams, but only in October. The results will get. The games we've got coming up. A lot of people would expect us to go and beat West Ham on Sunday, and then we play Villa twice, once in the league, once in the League Cup, and then we play Fulham before the World Cup. So you'd expect us to go out and get 9 points out of those next 3 games that we got coming up, and the fact that we've come off 2 games where a lot of people would have seen us as the underdogs against Spurs and Chelsea, and the fact that we've come away from those games and picked up 4 points, for me, I'm sure you agree, it's a major positive.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, look at our next league game against West Ham next Saturday.
Yeah,
But like Forest yesterday, Forest got a result against Liverpool. Nobody was expecting that. As you said, it's when you look at the top six as we call it. What have we done? We've beaten Arsenal, we've beaten Liverpool, we've beaten Spurs, we've drew to Chelsea, and we lost to Man City.
yeah. I mean, Man City, they're in a completely different league. So obviously,
Yeah, I mean nobody's touching them. Haaland had a bit of a. I think he had 2 games where like he didn't score, but he came back into the fray yesterday. He scored a brace again yesterday. And it's like you can see. I mean, like I was expecting Liverpool after last week's result against Man City to really kick on, but then they were like
yeah,
back to square one. And this week it was like as if that was just a blip result, and you will get it. I mean, you get that in this, like the first 2 games of the season, when we lost 4-0 at the beginning of the season.
yeah,
Um, and then after that, then we kind of like we kicked on, and we, to be honest with you, bearing like the odd poor result, we've kind of kicked on and done quite well.
yeah. We definitely have. And just obviously one of the one of the main reasons I wanted to do a podcast today as well, as you know, was talk about this Ronaldo situation. I didn't watch the game on Wednesday, so I was working, but I read all the comments about it on Thursday morning. The fact that he walked before full time. I don't know if you've seen it, the argument between, or the disagreement between Roy Keane and Gary Neville about it.
Yeah, I seen that last night. But I mean, I watched the game on Wednesday, and like when the camera cut to him walking down the tunnel, and I thought, oh, where's he going? I thought, that's a bit strange. Because 1 minute he was sort of like sitting on the bench, and then the next minute that he was walking down the tunnel, and I was like, all right, what's going on there? But from what I can gather and from what I've heard, I've heard different stories. Okay, I've heard that he refused to come on. Now, if that is the case, then by all means, Ten Hag needs to punish him, and I think the punishment that Ten Hag has given him is correct. Okay, so there's a couple of points I want to make about Ronaldo. Look, I love him the best, right, as well as you do, and as well as our fans do. But he did it against Rayo Vallecano in a pre-season friendly, but he left the ground early. But apparently he wasn't the only one to do it, so Ten Hag kind of let that slip. But he's the manager, and if he's got standards, no matter who you are, if he's got standards, and he has set rules, like they said in the press, there's a book of guidelines that need to be followed and adhered to, and if they're not met, then punishments will be given. Now, if Ten Hag feels that he needs to train with the reserves and he needs to be away from the first team, then I back Ten Hag 100%. There's people saying, he's made the mistake. Like I've read over the weekend that there's quite a few senior sources of Manchester United, Sir Alex being one, Paul Scholes being another one, who think that Ten Hag has made a mistake and he's trying to be too big for his boots. But the fact of the matter is, which I think is good, is, let's be honest here, the Glazers love Ronaldo, and they are not going to be happy with what's going on at the moment. But as Gary Neville said, we love him as a player, a fantastic player, but he needs to accept, like he put on social media yesterday on Instagram, or come on Manchester United, or good luck Man United, or come on boys, something along that guideline. Now, if he wants to be part of the team, like obviously they may have been. Look, we don't know, right? Like I was having a conversation with a mate, and I said to him, I said, why would Ten Hag come out and say he's refused to play? And my mate said, "Oh, well, get people talking about Ronaldo," and it's like, well, no, because we had probably our best performance in about the last 3 or 4 years on Wednesday night against Spurs. And 30 seconds of him walking down the tunnel meant that the tall people are talking about now is Ronaldo. He needs, as Gary Neville said, if he wants to stay at the club and he loves the club as much as he says he does, one of two things needs to happen, okay? He either needs to turn around and say, look, I accept I'm not going to play every week, and I know age is on my side and I'm going to, be on the bench, or I'm not going to start every game, or if he wants to be playing regular football, he needs to find a club that will play him every week in, week out, and, he needs to move on. Because when Ronaldo left in 2009, I was heartbroken. Because he was probably at his peak then when he left. And don't get me wrong, I mean, the guy scored us 25 goals last season. I love him, but he can't be doing things like that. If he's refused to come on, then fair enough. But what he needs to do, he said, as I said to you last week, and he mentioned about this interview that he wants to do. And the truth will come out. That was supposed to have happened at the end of the transfer window. It still hasn't. As we've touched on it, maybe he's suffering with a bit of depression, and maybe he's getting help for that, and maybe Ten Hag is trying to protect him. Ten Hag said he didn't want to bring him on in the derby because he felt it was disrespectful to Ronaldo. But then Roy Keane's argument is then Ronaldo could have come on and got us, I mean, we scored 3 goals. Ronaldo could have come on and got another 3 goals, and we could have ended up drawing the game 6-all. But Ronaldo will always get you goals. But for me, and I don't know if you agree with me, in the games that Ronaldo hasn't been playing, I think we look a better team without him.
Yeah,
now,
we do.
where I see Ronaldo's role going forward is, yesterday against Chelsea, 20 minutes to go. He's on the bench. We could have brought him on and we could have won that game 1-0. Or we could have got a draw out of it, which we did anyway without him. But what I'm saying is, yes, there are certain games that Ronaldo should be starting. But the majority of the time, I would rather have him on the bench than not in the squad at all. Because if you ask me, he comes on yesterday with 20 minutes to go, fresh legs, we win that game 1-0. So, but he's got to take his punishment. So it's no point saying now, Ten Hag's fault. Because if he hadn't been so stubborn with Ronaldo, we would have won that game yesterday. We don't know that.
Yeah. Well, he did it a few weeks ago.
What are your thoughts on it?
We all love Ronaldo. I totally agree with what you said there. He can't be doing what he did on Wednesday. Just walking off because he's on the bench. In a way, a lot of people will see that as him disrespecting the football club. When you look at Ronaldo, yes, he's not going to be happy with sitting on the bench. If he had his way, he'd play. Every minute of every single game. We all knew. I knew this season he wasn't going to play as many games this season. Whether there was a discussion between him and Erik ten Hag when Erik ten Hag walked through the door, to what his role would be as player this season, we don't know. Maybe there should have been, maybe Erik ten Hag said, you will play a part in the season, but there's going to be other players coming in, and you're going to have to be patient. I'm going to rotate the team. But you are going to have to. There are going to be times where you're going to be sitting on the bench. But I will, I'll bring you on if I feel that I need to bring you on. He did it against Everton a few weeks ago. I've read a lot of comments.
And if Ten Hag has had that conversation with him, which I think he has, because Ten Hag has come out and said that he's still an important part of the squad and he will feature and we want him around. So I don't think it's a case that if Ten Hag have said, I don't want it, because I wouldn't want Ronaldo in the team. Do you know what I mean? I think what's happening is Ten Hag said to Ronaldo at some stage during the game, warm up, you could be going on. because he was warming up, wasn't he? He was like warming up just for half time. He was running up and down. And I think what's happened then is subsequently is that Ten Hag has then felt maybe that he didn't need to be brought on. And I think Ten Hag hasn't communicated to him, you're not going on.
Yeah.
And then, because what happened was, there was a telling moment. There was a moment where he told Anthony Elanga to warm up. And Ronaldo was sitting just behind Elanga. And he told Elanga he was going on. And Ronaldo shook his head as if to say, like, I can't believe he's doing this to me. He's told me that I'm playing. And, he's then bringing on Anthony Elanga as opposed to me. I mean, the game was won by that point. The game was dusted. Spurs weren't coming back. The game was done and dusted. Maybe Ten Hag thought, well, there's no point in bringing Cristiano Ronaldo on for 2 minutes. But, Ronaldo doesn't see it like that. I mean, you watch Ronaldo, okay, and like you see Ronaldo, and when he got brought off, I think it was against Everton, maybe. Or when he got brought off against Newcastle. He was like shaking his head as if to say, I'm not happy with that. He doesn't like... He likes to be front and centre, doesn't he? He likes to be the main attraction. And he wants to be seen as the man. He was potentially being brought in to restore the glory years. And that hasn't happened. But I think with Ronaldo, as I said, and as Gary Neville hit the nail on the head, two things need to happen. Ronaldo needs to accept that he's not going to be playing every game. And as long as he can accept that, then we can move on from this. But if he can't accept that, then he has to go. As much as I don't want to see him go in, he has to go. I don't think it's a case of Ten Hag punishing him and saying, you're not good enough. But, Ten Hag has a certain style of play that he wants to play. He's a certain way that he wants to play. And if Ronaldo isn't on board with that, then, as you said, you hit the nail on the head, buddy, when you said that we are not privy to what conversations go on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Right? Ronaldo could have said to Ten Hag, I'm happy to play the role I'm in. And it could have just been, like Ronaldo said in his statement on Instagram, he said he was heat to the moment. So, perhaps Ronaldo would have said something to Ten Hag along the lines of, well, boss, what's going on here? You said you told me to go warm up, and now you're not even picking me. And then, what potentially could have happened is something could have been said along the lines of, well, I'm the manager. I make the decisions. Ronaldo thought, well, I'm not happy with that, and just dropped off. It could have been the case of something was said to Ronaldo that upset him, and he didn't like it, so he just thought, I'm not having this. Or it could have been a case that Ronaldo was unhappy with Ten Hag's response, and perhaps he thought, rather than me kick right off for him here, I'm just going to walk off and cool down. But, when you're a professional footballer, especially of his stature, a lot of youngsters are on the bench as well. We had Zidane, Iqbal, Garnacho, Elanga. They would have been looking at that and thinking, like, I think, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had been in charge, I think completely different scenario. None of this would have happened. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have been like, it's Cristiano, it's fine. He's a professional, he loves the game. It was a bit of frustration. Whereas, like, Ten Hag will come out and say, yeah, he refused to play. Now, Ronaldo hasn't come out and said, I didn't refuse to play. Ronaldo's come out in support of the club. Like, people were saying, that's a PR move, that is the way Ronaldo's put that thing up. Come on, United, it's a PR move. But, like, if you was a professional footballer and your manager was questioning you and saying, or let's say you and your job, okay, your manager turns around and says, you refuse to do what I asked you to do. Would you just sit, if you had refused to do it, what you'd been asked to, you'd accept your punishment, and you wouldn't say nothing, would you? You'd just say, right, I shouldn't have done it, I accept what punishment's given, let's move on.
Yeah, of course.
I can't see, knowing the kind of person that Ronaldo is, I don't think that if Ten Hag said he refused to come on, I don't think, if Ronaldo hadn't refused to come on, I think Ronaldo would have come out and said, hang on a minute, that's not what happened, this is what happened.
Yeah.
But he hasn't, he stayed silent, and he's a professional, he didn't join pre-season with us, but, he chose to train in his own way. And as I said, I think the guy is suffering. He lost a baby, and the day after he lost the baby, he played against Liverpool. It shows the kind of professionalism on the guy, and you can see he's a winner. He wants to win games. He doesn't like losing. He doesn't like being brought off. He doesn't like it if things don't go his way. Yes, he throws his toys up to the pram. Yes, he gets angry and frustrated. But, we need that in players. And there's not enough players like that in the game. But for me, it's been dealt with. And the next thing that needs to happen is now he's either brought into the fray on Saturday against West Ham. Or, he's banished to the bench until January and he's not featuring any squads. And then January comes and he walks out the door in January. That's, for me now, it's done. I think it took balls from what Ten Hag did. Roy Keane said yesterday, there's a lot worse than that going on at Man United. Paul Scholes refused to play under Sir Alex Ferguson. And Gary Neville said, you find 2 weeks' wages.
Yeah.
There was Cantona. All the things Cantona used to. Roy Keane was bringing up that. I was annoyed at Roy Keane yesterday because he seemed to be very, very defensive of Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And I think Gary Neville put the question to him, well, you were the manager of Man United, would you have dealt with it? And Roy Keane would have been like, it would have been dealt with differently, it would have dealt with it in-house, blah, 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 blah. But it's been dealt with in-house, We released a statement, I think it was Thursday night or Wednesday night, no, Friday night, I think it was it? Friday night, we released a statement saying Cristiano Ronaldo will not feature this weekend and is not part of the squad. The squad will continue their preparations for the game against Chelsea.
Yeah.
And when my phone flashed up saying club statement regarding Cristiano Ronaldo, I thought it was to announce that he'd left the club. Or I thought it was him issuing an apology. But when I seen that statement, it was very damning because it was like, this is what's happening, and regardless of what the situation is, the club is still focused on Saturday's game against Chelsea. And I thought that was a huge statement for Ten Hag, and I thought it was the right move. I thought it was the right thing to do. And I think that if he hadn't have done it, you would have had other players then, and this culture that we had under Ranić and under Ole, where players thought they could do what they want. You could have had youngsters that were on the bench, like Garnacho and Zidane Iqbal, seeing Ronaldo and thinking, well, hang on a minute, he's a club legend, he's on 500 grand a week. If he behaves like that and gets away with it, then we can do it.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to bat an eyelid the rest of it. But I think when he's done it, and then the club have reacted in the way they have and said, well, it's not good enough. Like he said, Ten Hag, he said, there's standards. He said, the first time I let it slip, he said, but I said to them, if it happens again, there'll be consequences. And there's been consequences. Now, if you're any other player of that club, whether you're De Gea, whether you're Rashford, whether you're Thing, you're looking at that and thinking, bloody hell. He's fined Ronaldo 2 weeks' wages and he's banished him from the first team. And he was our best player last year. He's idolised here. And Ten Hag doesn't care about that.
No, I agree with what Ten Hag has done because like you said, he's sending out a message to everyone, so whoever you are, everyone knows what Ronaldo did at the football club, but to do that to like a legend of the football club, is sending a massive statement to the rest of the players. So it's basically Ten Hag stamping his authority in that dressing room, saying,
which is what we've needed since
exactly
before Sir Alex went. Like Roy Keane was, you mentioned about Cantona, like I felt quite embarrassed, I think, for Roy Keane because like Roy Keane was trying to defend Ronaldo and compared him to other things at the club.
Yeah.
And like every time he was trying to defend it, like what Gary Neville had a counter argument for when he said about Cantona kicking our fan in the ground. Gary Neville said, he was banned for 6 months by the club. He said, and then the FA they took another 2 months on top of it.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you now, right? If Paul Pogba was still at our club, he wouldn't have gone past the transfer window. He would have been gone by the end of the summer. And I think that's why Pogba left, because he knew and that's why Lingard left, because I think he knew that when Ten Hag came in, I think they kind of realised that the nonsense that we got away with for X amount of years,
it's going to stop.
Because he's not putting up with that. And he's always said, Ten Hag, if you want to be here, fine. If you don't, the door is. But like, I'm really happy with Ten Hag. Yes, he's made mistakes, which he will do, but he's learned from those mistakes, and he's tried to rectify them as quickly as possible. Some United fans I've spoken to over the weekend have said they don't think they'll see Ronaldo in a Man United shirt again because they're putting up. There was a similar thing happened to a player at Ajax. And the tenureship, and he was banished and was never again.
Yeah.
But we will see. I mean, maybe this break will do Ronaldo good, and who knows? Maybe Ronaldo will come back into the fray, and maybe he'll be that striker that we need to get those goals to get us top 4. But for me, he needs to accept that he's not going to play every week. And if he's on a good run, and he's banging in 2-3 goals, and he's scored something like 7-8 goals in the next 3 games, and there's an argument for him, that we shouldn't be left out. And then if he is being left out, then obviously questions need to be asked. Well, hang on a minute, he's made a mistake. He's come back. He's been fantastic since he's come back. What's the reason behind him not playing now?
Yeah. I think he's still got a massive. He can still have a big part on his season, but it's whether he can. It's whether he can deal with the fact that he's not going to be the main man at the football club, and there is going to be a lot of sitting on the bench and coming on with last 10-15 minutes to go and being brought off, with half hour to go in games, which is going to be difficult for him. When you look at the career. He's had like you said, he's like Gary Neville said, he's got to deal with it or he's got to go. And I read comments yesterday about it, and a lot of people were saying, just drop him, make him sit in the under 23s, or just leave or drop him completely for what he's doing. I don't agree with that because we don't know what's going on behind closed doors with Ronaldo. Like you said, he lost his baby last season, and he played. A week after against Liverpool. So maybe Ten Hag has seen things on the training grounds, and maybe he can see that maybe Ronaldo's mind isn't totally on the football club, and this is why he isn't picking him. But only Ten Hag will know the answers, and Ronaldo will know the answers to what's going on with Ronaldo. Obviously, we've got Sheriff on Thursday in the Europa League. Whether Ten Hag decides to bring him in on Thursday. I think we'll be
interested. Well, sweet on me, I just read a report now about Varane, and it looks like it's going to be good news. It seems to be like a lesion of his hamstring. So they've said, if he is going to miss any of the World Cup, it's likely that he would only miss the first game of France's game. So, he's going to be out for a prolonged period if that diagnosis is anything to go by. I've just seen that now. I just come through on my phone now that it appears to be a lesion of his hamstring, which is a lot less worse than what we feared, which is good for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, the World Cup is in what, 20 odd days time?
Yeah, it's less than a month.
Yes, he's not. We knew he wasn't going to recover by then, but the fact is that he could miss the first game and then be back. Who knows? It's.
And obviously, it'd be it's a massive loss to United because obviously, I think going back to that partnership between Varane and Martinez, I think that was building, and the longer they play in that position, the confidence of the two players is going to grow, and our defense will be a lot stronger. But like you said, at the start, does this now give an opportunity for Lindelof and Harry Maguire to come in and show what they can do?
It's still a serious injury. It's not something to get overly excited for. I mean, personally, if you ask me now, I'd be a bit selfish and say I'd rather than miss the World Cup and get 100% fit, so he's available for us for the run-in, but
like you said, this is probably going to be his last World Cup, so obviously he wants to be fit. He wants to be fit for United, but a lot of players now want to stay fit, don't they, for the World Cup. I think we've touched on everything this afternoon. Obviously, performance yesterday, first half, football was great. I think, like we both said, the only thing that's letting us down is our finishing.
I think with Varane as well, the reason why I say I'd rather him not be rushed back is because 3 Premier League games and a Carabao Cup game without him. I have a feeling with Maguire we screwed. Like Varane and Martinez, they give us so much defensively and offensively with the ball from playing out the back.
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked him. I was hoping that it was only a little. You'd only picked up Varane, and he would have been okay to play against West Ham on Sunday. But just hope he gets wish him a speedy recovery, and at least I think we're in a much better position this season than we were last season, because now we have got options. If someone like a big player, Varane, is injured for a couple of weeks, because we have got players that can come in and fill those positions. I think we spoke about before, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof maybe not being the right suit for the club, but at least we got those options compared to last season.
Out the next 5 games, we've got Sheriff in the Europa League on Thursday. We should be winning that at home. Yeah. We've got West Ham home then Sunday. Then we've got Sociedad away in the Europa League. And then we've got Villa in the league and Villa in the Carabao Cup. And then, we're off, we don't play till Boxing Day then.
Yes.
Out of those 4 games, I'd like to see us confirm qualification and finish top of the Europa League group. And, potentially it's a chance to get some youth involved for the League Cup game against Aston Villa. But, again, I don't think Ten Hag will take that lightly, because it's a trophy that we got a chance of winning.
Yeah,
but,
I think...
I think we should, let this Ronaldo saga play out. Maybe pick up and do another podcast next week and think of some topics. And obviously, any of our viewers as well and listeners on the Facebook page, if they ever want to come on and give their thoughts on, as you said, that's all they got to do is pop either you or me a message, and we'll arrange that for them as well. I'd like to say congratulations to you as well on being verified now with YouTube. I know you've worked really hard on that, and you finally get the recognition you deserve now. So well done to that, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kevin. But I think you've got to play a part in that as well. So I know you haven't always come, you haven't always had the time to come on the channel, but you have supported me throughout the YouTube. I think I've had at one point I was on the verge of giving it up, because some of the comments I was getting off people, and I'm still getting those kind of comments now. But I've learned to deal with. When you do things on YouTube, it's one of those things that comes with it. But you've kept me going. You've come on yourself and you've done content, and you've always put in excellent inputs when it comes to the club. And just what you said, if anybody else from the Facebook group or any other listeners want to jump on with me and Gavin into a podcast, it's always good to get other United fans point of view on the club and players and everything else in regards to United as well. So just to finish off, pleased with the point yesterday. I thought Casemiro was class. I thought he's going to be a very important player for us. He fully deserved man of the match yesterday.
I loved his passion at the end as well.
Yeah. I think Ten Hag will definitely rest players against Sheriff on Thursday. I think we'll see a lot of the younger lads, players that have been sitting on the bench the last couple of weeks. I think we'll see a lot of changes on Thursday, and it'll be back to full strength on Sunday against Newcastle. Before we go, is there anything else you wanna cover, Gav?
Yeah, I mean, I just touching on the point about giving youth a chance. Let's these games now. Like, obviously, it is important that we finish top of the group in the Europa League, because we don't want to risk playing a team from the fallout of the Champions League groups. But I mean, now should be the time. If we play Sheriff on Thursday and we 3-0 up with 20 minutes to go, and we've got people like Charlie McNeil on the bench, or Garnacho or Zidane Iqbal on the bench, then bring them in and give them a go. You never know. There could be a striker there that, could get us 20, 30 goals a season and, see us through till the end of the season with goals. Just, I mean, there was I was frustrated last week that, he's starting all these games, Ten Hag, with all this youth on the bench, but they never seem to come on.
Yeah.
And then fans are saying, he's biding his time. He's being patient. They will get their opportunities. He's all for youth and this, that, and the other. But I'm like, there's been games where I'm thinking, well, what harm is it to bring him on? And it's like people are saying, he doesn't want to destroy them. But you imagine if he come on and then they go ripped apart, then it's like, well, no, if we're comfortable in the game, then bring him on and give him a chance and see what options are available. I mean, he obviously thinks they're good enough, because he's putting them in the matchday squad. But yeah, I mean, Sheriff on Thursday. Hopefully, we can get another 3 points and try and secure a qualification. I mean, I don't know. Without looking, I don't know where we are in the Europa League group at the moment. I don't know if a win against Sheriff would kind of secure us top spot, but I know we've got Sociedad away. So I think for us to get top spot, I think we need at least 2 results. But no, it's been a pleasure, buddy, and we look forward to catching up with you again.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on this afternoon, Gav. Thank you all for tuning in today. Smash a like on the podcast. Keep on subscribing to the channel. Thanks again, Gav, and we will speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. Bye.